adjust the cash withdrawal limit. Now, on the issue of cash withdrawal limit, Dr. Ahmad made it very clear that this was not targeted at anybody. And that was the same point that Emefiele had made when he appeared personally, that this is not targeted at politicians. And Dr. Ahmed went a step further by saying it was a product of research, of consultations within the system, and they arrived at that initial figure. But now they've reviewed it, just listening to people. Third, the CBN through her also outlined the advantages of the redesign of the Naira and this cashless policy that they say they are pursuing. Since 2012, the point was made that Nigeria has had an improvement in electronic payment system, and that electronic payment system has deepened financial intermediation. It has increased innovation. It has also, energized policy. And that to the extent that today we have electronic payment systems, even in rural areas in Nigeria. Well, how widespread that is, remains to be seen. But beyond that, the argument of the CBN is that these new policies will help to check terrorism, banditry, counterfeiting, kidnapping. And I think that these are, important points. Now, a third point or a fourth point that needs to be made is that the representative of the CBN was asked a question. How much money did you print, CBN? And she said she had no idea. And the lawmakers were alarmed. How would the CBN know how much currency is printed? And that question came about out of concern that nobody has seen the new notes in many places, except if you go to a social event center, or you go to some bureau de change outlets. How come some other elements outside the system have these new notes, and the new notes are not available in the banking system? Even the ATMs, the automatic teller machines, they still give you the old notes. Okay, so the question is pertinent. How much exactly was printed? But Dr. Ahmad said, well, she didn't want to give the wrong figure. That's why she didn't say it. Well, I hope it's not a case of she not knowing exactly how much was printed, because I think we have the right to know. There's nothing about national security in that regard. I mean, if you printed 1 billion, let us know. And then we will ask the consequential question. So why is this money not in the banking force? Because if you go to the banks, the bankers will tell you they have not given us any money, or they did not give us enough, or the little they gave us has been exhausted. Now Dr. Ahmed says, they are going to print 500 million. She's sure about that, but when will that 500 million naira, when will it arrive? So these are some of the issues raised. But I took also special notice of the fact that members of the House of Representatives told the CBN that, look, the CBN and commercial banks have an obligation to make Forex available, particularly for students who are schooling abroad and who need to pay school fees. Well, everybody is looking for foreign exchange. The aviation sector looking for foreign exchange. Everybody else looking for foreign exchange. But that of students is particularly disturbing. You go to the banks to get Forex, to pay school fees. No, they will tell you that they don't have foreign currency. Or they will tell you there is a long queue if you are willing to wait for 5 months or whenever Forex is available. And meanwhile, these schools have calendars. Many children have dropped out of school because their parents have difficulties accessing Forex. And I can understand, I can imagine that the lawmakers were speaking as concerned parents who may have also faced the same problem. But the key issue, as recommended by the World Bank, is that we still have to address this issue of Forex supply, which is causing problems not just in aviation, but also in the downstream sector of oil and gas, and also everywhere else within the economy. And the basic recommendation is that, can we have a unified a foreign exchange rate? But it looks like it's so difficult for the CBN to act on that while it's acting on other things.
Absolutely. Just to add a few points in terms of the fact that the Deputy Governor of the CBN, Mrs. Aisha Ahmed, faced the House of Representatives and was questioned with regards to the new policy. Yesterday, we had discussed the fact that they had invited the Governor of the CBN, and due to circumstances beyond his control, including his health, he couldn't present himself. And, like Dr. Bati mentioned, they agreed for Mrs. Ahmed, who is the Deputy Governor on Financial System Stability, to appear before them. I'd like to speak to what she said with regards to the fact that the cashless policy was introduced in 2012. Therefore, this is 10 years post the cashless policy. I'll take us back again to what the CBN governor had said after his meeting with the president in Daura, saying that at what point are we going to implement the cashless policy? At what point is Nigeria going to go cashless? And she presented facts and data to represent the fact that they were in the right direction, and the CBN has to take sometimes drastic measures, or perhaps introduce what could be considered as drastic policies to ensure that this, we actualize and achieve a cashless Nigeria. Now, let's take an example from Sweden. Sweden is said to now have less than 1% of transactions done in cash. Less than 1%. In fact, they are supposed to be one of the first countries in the world to be a fully cashless nation. How did it work, and what has worked for Sweden? What has worked for them is that they deepened their financial system in terms of payments available. There was public education. This is very important because even in developed countries like Sweden, there's a sentimental attachment and a cultural bias towards cash and the usage of cash, very similar to what we have here in Nigeria. So there was a lot of public education, and then there was widespread adoption of the use of card methods for payments. This was what made it work. Now, using the Indian example, because the lawmakers have talked about the fact that Sweden and Nigeria, apples and oranges. In India, which has a population size that is at least comparable in terms of the Nigerian factor, what worked or what didn't work for them initially when they started was that they didn't have the technological infrastructure to promote a cashless society. This is what we're facing in Nigeria as well. There was also the cultural bias towards money, again tackled by public education, which is what we talked about again and again. Anyways, there's a whole analysis between these nations and as it pertains to Nigeria. However, the reason I pointed this out is because I want to reiterate again, at what point are we going to be ready based on the many benefits that have been highlighted by both the CBN governor and the deputy governor of the CBN FSS on the benefits of a cashless society, money laundering, the image of Nigeria on the international world, the ability of vulnerable Nigerians, as she classed them, to be absorbed into the financial system and also take advantage of economic opportunities. Many things to have a conversation about. Of course, this is not the end. It took Sweden about over 20 years. Nigeria is in its 10th year. We're looking forward to a truly cashless society based on the benefits highlighted. I move on to the next story, and presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, has said there was no going back on fuel subsidy removal if elected president next year. Tinubu, who stated this while speaking at the business luncheon with business owners titled Business Forward yesterday in Lagos, hinted that no matter how long people protest, it would not stop him from removing fuel subsidy. Tinubu, in a statement by his media office signed by Mr. Tunde Rahman, insisted that Nigeria would not continue to subsidize fuel consumption in neighboring countries. He also promised to work towards creating a better security in the country to allow them an enabling environment to do their businesses, adding that business and insecurity cannot thrive side by side. This conversation on subsidy, Dr. Bati, has come up again and again, and the importance to do and just to do it once and for all. Your take on this? Okay.
The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress was in Lagos yesterday, and he met with, again, the business community at an event, a town hall with the theme Business Forward. And it was on that occasion that he said he will remove subsidy, no matter, the protests. And, of course, many Nigerians have been protesting against any talk about removal of subsidy. And I think many will remember what happened in 2012 when, the phrase used then was not removal of subsidy, but deregulation of the downstream sector. And it caused a lot of riots. And at that time, ironically, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his allies, were some of those people who opposed the attempt by the government to deregulate the downstream sector, what some people call removal of subsidy. So it's interesting to see that 10 years down the line, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, presidential candidate of the APC, is now, a convert to the idea of the removal of subsidy. Because in 10 years, the subsidy regime, which in 2012 was pointed out as being unsustainable, and even before then, had resulted in loss of revenue for government. Money that should be used for developmental purposes is diverted into subsidizing the consumption of petrol. The diesel had been deregulated, kerosene had been deregulated, but petrol could not be deregulated because people opposed it. The President Buhari himself, having agreed that yes, subsidies should be removed, in an interview with Bloomberg, talked about consequences, in other words, social consequences. That is, in terms of maybe the protest that may attend government's decision. And under the PIA and all of that, government was supposed to have removed subsidy. The government decided in its wisdom that it will postpone it till June next year, I guess because of those consequences. And we said at the time that, look, this is a tough decision that needs to be made. And what the Buhari administration has done is to move it to the next administration. So it's instructive to see the presidential candidate of the APC saying that he will remove subsidy. Because to remove subsidy will be in order, the economists tell us, because what you do is actually to subsidize the rich and punish the majority. And secondly, it will require courage. As we have seen in Kenya, President Ruto promised that he will remove subsidy. He promised that he will do a number of things. Well, removal of petrol subsidy in Kenya, they have moved it till January now, after Christmas, in order not to disturb people. But there are a number of things that he promised that he did. Immediately, he got to power. We hope that if Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu wins, yes, he will summon the courage to take that decision, because it will be one of the ways of reducing waste, of making the economy more productive. Subsidy in Nigeria this year alone has taken trillions of naira. Okay, that money, if it was available, could be used for other things to develop infrastructure. But at that forum, he said other things: how he will increase the strength of the military forces, how he will ensure security, because you can't do business if this country is not secure, how he would provide an enabling environment for the private sector by ensuring that the private sector thrives under his watch. He talked about education. He talked about reducing poverty. Well, these same things, that he has said, and how business entrepreneurs should have confidence if he's elected. Of course, the entrepreneurs themselves raise questions. And some of the questions they raised was about Forex. This same Forex we're talking about. And he was saying that, look, as president of Nigeria, he will not allow a multiple foreign exchange rate. Okay? They asked him about other things, and subsidy in particular. And that was in that context that he responded. But on the whole, politicians make promises. But what every politician should note is that the public is taking notes. And there are concrete things that we can hang on to with every presidential candidate. So whoever wins, we will just play back the tape and say, you promised to do this, you promised to do this, when are you going to do it? But in terms of articulation of issues, well, I think Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu did very well, addressed all the key points, in my view. But the subsisting question, the eternal question, is how. The devil is in the details.
Absolutely, Dr. Abati. The devil is in the details. And just to very quickly say that when the issue of subsidy and the conversation around this, one of the arguments for why people are against this is the high cost of the burden on the people. Now, it has been said by analysts again and again that subsidy is not sustainable. We'll have to bite the bullet at some point in the cycle of this nation. However, with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming out decisively to say that if he does become president, he will take out subsidy. Let's look at the situation on ground now. For those who have said that don't take it out because the people will suffer in terms of high cost of PMS. We have a fuel scarcity on our hands at the moment. People are willing to pay exorbitant amount above the stipulated price just to be able to have access to fuel. If we're able to pay this, does it not demonstrate that people would be willing? If there's an assurance that would have a consistent supply, we would not have to be on the queues and Nigerians wouldn't have to suffer, that would have to pay this price one way or the other. Therefore, let us begin to get used to an idea of subsidy removal without protests. Well, that's all on the news headlines. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Michael Wilson and Rota Sudiri give us updates on global and African business activities. Stay with us.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vault it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business with Vault. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business with Vault.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Vault is the answer.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Amazing. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
Glow wishes you a Merry Christmas.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. For Global Business Update, Michael Wilson joins us now from Cape Town, South Africa. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Asia Pacific stocks down again following the sell-off on Wall Street yesterday. Japan recorded its highest core inflation figure for over 40 years. So basically the question really about there is whether or not the Bank of Japan will continue with its relatively dovish stance, or it'll make longer-term loans slightly easier. For its part, we're going to move our attention to China, and it's ramping up its tech its tech regulation. It's clamping down on internet control, particularly what it described as deep fakes. This is the sort of artificial intelligence which can generate fake news. It can put fake faces on videos, and you can see that it's quite something which is something which the Chinese feel that they need to control. I was talking yesterday, and again I'll bring it to your attention too, that the whole thing about China's economy is now moving away from property and infrastructure to give its growth, and also towards digital economy and green energy. As far as the United States is concerned, it's a combination of weak earnings and strong data. Stock futures are relatively flat this morning. The Dow down 349 points yesterday. There was strong GDP figures from the United States, up 3.2%, much stronger than expected. Now, you might think that's good news. Equities didn't, because what they feel is that may prompt the Fed towards raising interest rates further and for longer. Certainly, they're going to do it further, but the implication from the last minutes is that they will do it at a slightly slower pace. But again, with GDP figures like that, they may feel as though the economy is strong enough to withstand further and stronger interest rate rises, and that sort of did the thing for equities just before Christmas. The FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried is now on $250 million bail at the moment. He's living with his parents, and he's awaiting for a trial for 8 charges. Yesterday, 2 of his senior lieutenants actually pled guilty to charges, and there may be other people from that company coming out of the woodwork to testify as well. We wait to see whether or not that happens. Microsoft has pushed back on its proposed purchase of Activision Blizzard. The FTC were interested in that in the United States. They felt that it spoilt and interrupted the competitive process. It's a $68.7 billion deal. Microsoft is saying it doesn't because they're only third in that particular sector. But the Justice Department is also investigating Microsoft as well. Again, just adding basically to this global idea that regulators and regulation will probably be chasing social media sites and also the high tech for quite some time to come. Turkey, curiously, now we wonder about that economy, don't we, because of raging inflation and the fact that they will not raise interest rates to do that. They've hiked the minimum wage by 55%. Inflation is standing at 88%. The president of the country said yesterday that he hoped to bring inflation down, but you can see almost, let me be very cynical about this, there's a general election coming up in June 2023, and what a good thing it would be to give poorer people an increase in living standards, as he promised, in order to attract votes. Who knows? The EU, here's another one for Amazon to consider. The EU is ruling that it is responsible for any knockoffs sold as a result of its third-party sites. This in particular, we're talking about Louboutin shoes, but there may be other retailers who sell, or rather whose goods are counterfeited, and that those are sold on Amazon sites. Amazon is now going to be responsible, apparently, according to the EU, for counterfeit goods sold on its site. In the UK, the UK has joined the criticism at Joe Biden's Green Subsidies Act, the Infrastructure and the Inflation Reduction Act, heading a lot towards infrastructure, but the UK feels as though it will restrict, because of the competitive nature of the subsidies, their manufacture of EV vehicles, batteries, and other renewables. It's a $369 billion package in the United States, which is giving subsidies to their own manufacturers of such things. UK Border Force begins its strike today. Heathrow is expecting, and as are all major airports, expecting a lot of disruption. Postal workers, rail strike, national rail strikes as well begin today, and the 579 flights due today at Heathrow, 10,000 people arriving before 8 o'clock. It's going to be chaos there. So at least the Border Force hopes. The UK economy shrank more than previously thought in the first 3 months of the year. Again, something I was talking about with Reuters yesterday, but it's worth repeating. And it feels as though the growth in the first half of 2022 will also be revised down as well. So basically, the job for the Bank of England is to tackle inflation without strangling the economy. And they're not alone in that mission. I think central banks throughout the world are trying to deal with the same kind of thing. Oil prices continue to rise. I've got Brent at about $81, WTI at about 78. China is reopening. That's helping push up the price. And also the US announcing that it's going to top up its strategic reserve. That'll keep the oil price going. And just finally, as it's Christmas, we might as well mention gold. A possible target here from a group of economists, perhaps at $4,000 an ounce, basically because of bank hikes and so on. Thus, it makes gold more attractive. Gold is a good hedge against inflation, and it's an asset that every central bank holds. And the kind of returns have been 8 to 10% on it so far. It's a good inflation hedge. It may be called into question, and maybe that target may be reached in 2023. Who knows? And may I just say, on behalf of my family and all the people working on a rise, a very, very happy Christmas to you all.
I will say same to you. Thank you very much. Have a Merry Christmas too. Thank you.
Merry Christmas to you too, Michael. Now, talking about Amazon and the Louboutin business, especially with regards to the fact that they've come out to say that this ruling would mean that Amazon would now take a more direct approach to cautioning counterfeiters on its platforms. First question is, now it's the EU court who's ruled. How does this affect Amazon business in other regions beyond the EU? Do you think they would adopt the same? And then also in terms of the cost implication, because oftentimes what Amazon does is that they're hosts for third-party businesses, so you can come on there and host your business, and so there's no, the checks and for these businesses as to what is fake, what is original. Some people have had bad experience, and what you would often say is, I bought something from Amazon, not necessarily the person who was selling. So in terms of more responsibility for their sellers, that's one. And then going to the Biden protectionist, what the EU has called a protectionist policy law with regards to renewables and energy. What's your take on that? Do you think the EU is mulling perhaps setting up their own policies that would protect their own businesses? Is that going to be the way forward for them?
To take your last question first, yes, I think it probably is. Kemi Badenoch is the trade minister, and she's actually got in touch and piggybacked on top of the EU objections to Joe Biden's subsidies policy. I mean, at the end of the day, if you can bear it, this would be an argument for the World Trade Organization. But the way that those things work is so slow, it probably wouldn't necessarily affect jobs. I think she is Kemi Badenoch is a politician, and a very good one too. And I think what she's doing is doing what she has to do, which is to join in with the EU's criticism of it. What will happen in the future, I simply don't know. It'll be a balance, really, of who the larger person is. That's what tends to win trade disputes. As far as Amazon's concerned, yes, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for them, isn't it? Because as you quite rightly surmise, other manufacturers, other labels, other brands will be looking at this, and what it is effectively saying is that just because it's a third-party sale and it's a third party who's coming onto Amazon to sell its goods doesn't necessarily protect it, and Amazon is responsible for what is advertised on its site. I would have thought if this actually happens, that this will be an enormous administrative cost for Amazon, not just in the EU and not just in the UK, but also in the whole world. So they will really have to look at their case. So, as I keep saying, the idea of the World Wide Web being free and all the rest of it is not true. It actually will end up costing a great deal of money to participate on it, as Amazon will find to its cost, I'm sure.
Okay, let's start with international trade. I mean, the EU, South Korea, and Canada are the first set of countries groups to complain about the Inflation Reduction Act of the US, which was passed by Congress in August. And their main argument is that it violates WTO rules. Now you have Kemi Badenoch, now speaking up on behalf of the United Kingdom. But what's our expectation? That Congress will reverse itself because other stakeholders within the global space believe that the U.S. is violating WTO rules, whereas there is a contradiction here. I don't know whether you agree. The U.S. is saying that, look, this is about climate change. We're trying to address climate change, which is a principle to which all the countries, seem to have an agreement. But now Badenoch is saying that, well, you can address climate change, but not at the expense of trade. Would the Americans be persuaded one way or the other, whether the complaint is from Canada or South Korea or from the EU group? That's one. Now, Elon Musk has added Bitcoin and Ethereum to Twitter just to provide price index data. Would that help crypto that is suffering? And, would this bring more profit for Mr. Elon Musk? And then Turkey. Turkey is attempting wage indexation. You've made the additional point that this looks like politics. Okay, just address the people's cost of living crisis, whatever the cost is. But wage indexation, again, runs counter to orthodox thinking. The kind of thinking that we have in England, in the UK, where the Prime Minister and the Chancellor are both saying that, look, we can't just increase wages like that. We can't afford it because wage indexation is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It will increase borrowing costs. And of course, this is a Christmas of strikes as a result of that thinking in England. Border Patrol, as you pointed out, they are going on strike. Rail unions are going on strike. Others are joining them. Nurses are threatening that again in January. Everything has been shut down. So who has the right argument here? Turkey or the other, side?
I can't think of why Turkey would want to increase its minimum wage by 55%, unless it's to do, and I think this is what it's all to do with, it's to do with the general election, which is coming up in June. So it's a political measure. It's not going to solve Turkey's ills. 40% of the workforce is on the minimum wage at the moment. I mean, is it affordable? Do you agree with the financial orthodoxy of not raising interest rates to allow inflation to run at, what is it now, 88%? How can that possibly work? I mean, it may be that in a command, maybe there's a lot of money which is caught up somewhere, which is suddenly going to be helicoptered to everybody. I doubt that very much indeed. I mean, what Turkey is a very, never mind its religion and the rest of it, it's a very, very strong manufacturing base. And that's one of the reasons why its addition to the European Union was so strongly resisted by Germany and France, because they see Turkey as a tremendously hard-working manufacturing base that would be in direct competition to the sorts of things that they would do. So I share your views completely about it. I don't understand what it's about. I think it's pure politics. Elon Musk, today he says something. Tomorrow he may say something else. I mean, is it worth even thinking about? I think what we need to see, as far as he's concerned, is how Twitter becomes a profit-making concern again under whomever it may be who takes the job. And he's already said in words of almost one syllable, as far as tweets are concerned, only an idiot would want a job working under me. I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, if you're going to say things like that, then say them in private, not in public, and not there. So again, I have little more to say about Elon Musk, knowing that he may well say something tomorrow which contradicts everything that he said today. As far as the WTO trade is concerned, yes, I do feel as though it's an issue for them. I attempted to push towards that in my previous report. The problem is that it's so big, and it will be so far down so far down the in trade that it will take years to resolve. And remember, This is part of the package that started off as, if memory serves, as a $2 trillion package, and it's now standing at what, $369 billion. So it's been reduced in its passage through the House and through Congress and so on. Will it be a thorn in the side of trade talks? Yes, it will. That's what trade talks are all about. I mean, this is looking at discussions which will be long time into 2023, if indeed they take place in 2023.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. Merry Christmas once again. Thank you. Now, for business updates across the African continent, Rotus Odiri joins us now. Good morning, Rotus.
Yes, good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning to all our viewers, and season's greetings, happy holidays. But that's where we begin with. A lot of Nigerians are not going to be enjoying the Christmas season, unfortunately. If you ask around, are you feeling any excitement at all? Not at all. Why? Because of the metrics that go into enjoying Christmas. You got to have money in order to enjoy Christmas, to purchase gifts, to host people. Inflation, 17-year high. You've got fuel scarcity. You've got people that, unfortunately can't afford to travel to see their loved ones. Businesses aren't even looking forward to that much in terms of profit margins. I wish Rufai was here. I was going to ask him about Black Friday, whether he's got any numbers from how we performed as far as sales numbers from Black Friday. Those numbers are still hidden. So it is indeed a pretty bleak Christmas. I think Mr. Ifeni talked about this. It was the cover. Wasn't it Business Day yesterday or the day before? I remember Mr. Ifeni talking about this. So you're still seeing the misery index when you look at the factors that go into the misery index. Double digits, pretty high. Unemployment, inflation, how people generally feel about the direction of the economy. So you're looking at a pretty subdued Christmas for a number of Nigerians. We move from that to a public hearing that is going to be taking place. This is for NITDA, the National Information Technology Development Agency, taking place, in fact, about 13 minutes from now in the Senate building in Abuja. This is to repeal what is it now? I think it's the NITDA Act number 28, 2007. Here's some troubling provisions in this bill. Look at this, what's circled in B there. The agency shall have the powers to test and approve the use of information technology infrastructure and services before adoption in Nigeria. It continues. There's another part. Then see this another part that's circled here, and this is a draft that they're going to be talking about at the public hearing. Regulates the activity and service of a platform service provider and social networking service provider that create, maintain, and make accessible to the public any device, tool, an application used for sharing and distributing information accessible in Nigeria. A number of folks are looking at this and wondering exactly how much power NITDA is trying to have when it comes to the technology space. Those provisions, if they go through, think about it like this. You can understand NAFDAC or any of the healthcare regulators who would want to test a drug or medicine before it goes to the open market. That's fine, that makes sense. But to test and approve the use of information technology infrastructure and services before adoption. Think about the long line. If the three of us at this table have apps that we want to put out on the market, and we all have to wait in line for NITDA to have to test them and approve them. Think about the number of tech startups that pop up on a regular basis where you hear about this new startup and that new startup. How long the line would be for. So look, we just had it's the environment that we're in right now. It seems like we take one step forward and we take two steps back. President Buhari in, wasn't it October or September, just signed into law the startup bill, a bill that is supposed to provide an enabling business environment for technology companies in this country. A bill that they've been working on for the past 2 years now that actively involved the ICT ministry, also involved players in the tech sector. They worked together. And then now you've got this. We will see how things go at the hearing. And then finally, the Nairobi Expressway. In 2023, the Nairobi Expressway will be accepting M-Pesa as payments. It's going to be tolled, so they want to make their money back. But when you think about where M-Pesa is, you can buy granules on the side of the road in Nairobi with M-Pesa. You can get on a bus using M-Pesa, digital mobile money. Commuters on that expressway will be able to use M-Pesa to pay. That's what you call vertical integration, where you introduce new technology and then you've got different ways to scale it to make people's lives easier. That's our update on the African continent today.
All right, where to start from, Rotus? I don't know.
Are you looking forward to Christmas?
Well, yeah.
Well, you are. You're employed. You work for a great company, and so but
there's such a thing as, not as it applies here, but there's such a thing as, it's not everyone who is employed that is looking forward to Christmas. We talked about underemployment and the fact that people are not paid what they ought to, what they're supposed to be paid. So not to say that everyone who is paid is looking forward to Christmas. The thing is that Nigerians are known to be very resilient, and so that resilient factor is what would not make anything want to break your spirit, even though the breaking is trying to break it. When you said, do you see people on the streets? I said, yes, I see them. Unfortunately, they're on the queues. Right. They're on the fuel queues. Very unfortunate. We're really looking forward to a Christmas for Nigerians that would sort of, drive up the hope and excitement at least one time in the year where you can forget temporarily what is going on and really just focus on spending time with family. Unfortunately, hampered by the case studies are really heartbreaking. If you read the reports of people who were interviewed, who cannot spend time with their family members, who cannot buy clothes for their children, who are forced to remain in their, in the cities rather than going to the countryside or to the villages or home to spend time with their family members, with their loved ones, eroding family culture, which is what seasons like this promote, is quite unfortunate. And then you begin to wonder if we have a government that cares or is in touch with the people, in touch with the sufferings of the people. We can bandy around statistics and numbers, right? But to the common man, what it translates to is, how can I feed my family? Right. How can let's even leave enjoyment for a bit. Yeah. How can I feed my family? How can I ensure that my children, I can go home and I'm taking something home to my children at the end of the year? How can I finish the year and look back and feel like, okay, I've worked hard and this is translating? Obviously, inflation rates, not allowing that to happen, killing dreams like that. And this is where we talk about mismanagement and governance leadership, very critical. For the next election, because now the current administration is on its way out, depending on who's going to, by May 2023, elections in February and March, we need to ask critical questions. You see why you cannot just collect 500 naira and sell? Yes, because if you do that in a few months, in a few weeks, or a few months down the line, you're going to be suffering. Is it worth it? What you're facing now, is it worth it? Right. Let's talk about M-Pesa, because we looked at cashless society earlier on, with regards to, I'd mentioned and using the Sweden and India case study as to how they've been able to promote a cashless society. One of the things is obviously deepening their financial systems, payment options. Very important. It's important that, when policies are introduced, government is also able to make the infrastructure available to ensure that this is workable. These are people that should be looking up to us, really, and we're looking up to them quite.
Financial inclusion in Kenya, 80%. 8 out of 10 Kenyans are financially included, thanks to M-Pesa.
Okay. Nobody should be surprised that this is going to be a bleak Christmas. Yeah. Not just in the UK because of cost of living crisis, also here in Nigeria. I was telling someone yesterday that about 15 years ago, in this same Lagos, by December 15, people will have left town. Right. Exactly. There will be no congestion. Exactly. And that may continue till end of middle of January before activities will wake up again. Yeah. Now, this Christmas, nobody is going anywhere. In those days, if you were going on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, you see, vehicles overloaded with bags of rice. People will even buy turkey from Lagos. They will buy fowls from Lagos. They are going home. And you will see a lot of excitement. There's no excitement this year. None. The kind of traffic that is in this town, despite the fact that there is fuel scarcity, is unbelievable. And I was wondering yesterday, that why is it that people have refused to leave town? They can't leave town because they have no money to go and spend
Exactly.
in the village.
Right.
And so this is a perfect illustration of the raging pandemic of empty pockets. Made possible by inflation at 21.47%.
Yep.
Unemployment rate in Nigeria at 33.
That's 2 years old, though.
33%.
I will continue to say it's old unemployment numbers.
Well,
Right.
I mean, the actual numbers,
Yeah.
you know, we're told in some other calculations, you know, much higher than that.
Yeah.
So, which is why, you know, we have to address the challenge of poverty.
Yes, sir. Yes.
We're told 63% of us are living below the poverty line. The number put to it by the National Bureau for Statistics, government figures, is 133 million. If 133 million are living below poverty line, you can't have the usual Christmas. So many of us may not know that it is even Christmas. On top of it, there's a hardship of fuel scarcity, high transportation cost. So people cannot move. They would rather save money. January is the longest month of the year.
Oh, yes.
For parents. Because that's when schools are not going to say, because there is inflation, don't pay. No,
school fees.
they will still have school fees. If a landlord will tell you that the bag of rice has gone up and that fuel has become costly, okay, what has petrol got to do with his building? What has the cost of Gary got to do with his building? Maybe a house that was built like 20 years ago.
Exactly.
So what is going to happen in in January, don't be surprised. It's not just December. You see a lot of people wearing long faces because they will have the threat of landlord and school
fees
proprietors
and all
who
this.
expect you to pay. But in
boy.
spite of all of this, I think what should be emphasized is the essence of Christmas. I think it's in John 3 verse 16.
You're giving us scripture.
that we're told,
Dr. Pastor Abati.
for God so loved the world
Yes.
that he gave us his only begotten son.
Okay.
So it's about love.
It is. Amen.
So
Amen.
those who have should remember in this season of love, those who do not have. Beyond that, the politicians should know that the essence of Christmas is love, and they should start preaching the politics of hate and acrimony. Okay? And all of us should, in the spirit of Christmas, learn to love one another, because that is the only way those who want to ensure national unity can achieve it. As for M-Pesa, the CBN governor, this is what the CBN has been talking about, financial inclusion. When Aisha Ahmad went to the House of Representatives yesterday to represent the CBN boss, she made a point about achievements with digital payments, electronic financial payments in Nigeria, and how a lot has been done in that regard, even in the rural areas. But part of the policy is to achieve more, so that there will be, deeper, intermediation and inclusion and innovation. Okay, the only part of it that the CBN has not addressed is how this will affect dinosaurs like us, because in spite of all of this innovation, some of us still prefer to carry cash.
Dr. Bati, we need to make you the ambassador for cashless Nigeria.
Some people would never embrace electronic banking, but in any case, it's good if we can achieve greater penetration.
Oh yes,
Absolutely. Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much,
much.
Ruth.
Thank
It's
you,
a
thank
robust
you.
conversation and
Thank
very
you.
real. And just saying that our producer has said that he's had to send his family home for Christmas.
Wow.
But in the end, at the end of it all, like Dr. Bati said, we must find the light even in the very dark tunnel. It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni join us to review top stories in today's newspapers. Stay with us.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
I'm about to serve better breakfast.
If you're in Lagos, you need to see this.
Your disappointment.
I'm not just streaming content, I'm just escaping traffic.
Get more data to enjoy exclusive content. Dial *141# now.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Good afternoon, sir. Please, I need a room to rent in your house.
Okay, where do you work?
I'm a nurse.
That means you won't owe me rent. Congratulations, young lady. You have yourself a house.
Well, thank you so much, sir. So, how much is the rent?
90,000 naira. Oh, but wait, where are you from?
I am from Akamata.
Akamata what? Akamata in my house? If you know how you got into my house, please get out right away. My spirit and that of Akamata people don't have anything to do together.
Sir, what have I done?
Your people from Akamata are known for bad things. That is what they represent, and you can't live in my house. Just get out right away.
What's going on?
Leave my house, young lady. Yes, our differences extend to our languages, culture, food, and even belief. But we are bound together by the cord of love. With one heart, with one voice, we will make Nigeria a hub of greatness, a place where the people live as one.
This message is brought to you from the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the UK government.
Set to take the African continent and the world by storm. They are giants in every sense of the word, and they will bring entertainment that's just as big. Don't miss the first ever season of Big Brother Titans with two African giants, Naija and Nsamse, under Biggie's roof together. Big Brother Titans starts on Sunday, 15th of January on DSTV 198, GoTV 29, and Africa Magic. Headline sponsor, Bamboo, Flutterwave, and Lotto Star.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Emefiele chronicles gains of cashless policy, assuages lawmakers' concerns, says currency redesign will curb inflation. Banditry strengthen the naira. Declares cashless policy not targeted at politicians or intended to disenfranchise Nigerians. Businesses insist is in public interest to promote efficient payment system. Cost of currency management hits 47.25 billion naira in 10 months. Again, CSOs protest in Abuja, caution DSS, maintain Apex Bank's governor, not terrorist. Yes, of course, the central bank yesterday the central bank governor represented at the House of Representatives stated the gains, the benefits of this currency redesign, which many politicians felt threatened. And of course, with the movement upwards on the cash withdrawal limit, perhaps politicians will be more comfortable with the figures. But other newspapers are reporting this story, other aspects of this story. CBN Nigerian Tribune reporting CBN shed light on cashless policy, while the Punch newspaper, cash limits not anti-people, CBN insists reps knock Emefiele. Now, if we just come back to this day above the masthead, NPAN, that's the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, Nigerian Guild of Editors, NUJ, others slam misrepresentation of Arise This Day APC PCC peace meeting. Yes, says NPO, not Arise This Day owner initiated peace meeting. This day, Obagbena never sought any meeting, but honored invitation by Oshoba, Amoka, other media leaders. Of course, the meeting took place on Sunday, although I was out of town. The managing director of This Day, Eniola Bello, immediately brought me up to speed. And of course, we had to disseminate information accordingly. So it was surprising to see yesterday a false narrative being paraded in social media by some groups. But they know what they want to instigate. But this is a true story. Media leaders like Sam Amoka, publisher of Vanguard, media, of course, former Governor Olusegun Obasanjo, Oshoba, always a journalist. Of course, they initiated that meeting, and it was honored, and decisions taken for all sides to sheath their sword, as it were. So we just move on to other stories. Daily Sun newspaper, PDP, APC fight over alleged plot to scuttle 2023 polls. Disagree on competency of presidential candidates. Now, we just look at the New Telegraph newspaper. No, before that, yes, the New Telegraph reporting presidential errors stall passage of 2023 budget. Yes, when the Senate president spoke about the passage of the bill that will take place yesterday, he did so with so much confidence a couple of days ago. So it was surprising that they are still talking about errors, stalling the passage. It will now take another 1 week, December 28th. That is when the Senate is likely to pass the appropriation bill, as it were. Now, the Guardian newspaper also reporting that story. Lawmakers' constituency project delayed 2023 budget. Another perspective on the failure of the National Assembly to pass the budget yesterday. Senate fixes December 28 for passage of appropriation bill. Now the story, Business Day newspaper, the story Rotus and others, including Ruben, talking about cost of Christmas meal in Nigeria rises by 28%. Prices of rice, chicken, cooking gas, others soar. Well, for those who celebrate, who have to keep or save for this period, perhaps now is the time to bring out your savings and celebrate. For those of us who don't even bother to celebrate, life goes on as usual. But, Ruben, people are traveling. You know, for those of us who still find courage to travel by road, we know people are traveling, Ruben. And, of course, don't forget that I also live on that axis. The road out of Lagos, outbound Lagos, field traffic, heavy one. People are traveling, I can tell you that. Perhaps they're paying exorbitant transport fare, but people are traveling. Maybe not as in previous years, but people are still traveling. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly. The Times of London. Got cough or cold? Stay away from grandparents. Yet, because of the high rate, of course, they're having the highest number of hospitalization on flu. So the advisory is that if you have cold or cough, please stay away from grandparents. You know, as this, of course, this has been a familiar advisory since restrictions over COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the Guardian newspaper number 10 threatens to block Scottish law on legally changing gender. Of course, the warning hours after the Scottish Parliament passed the bill on gender identification. Yes, that 16 to 18 years can now have that, can be considered for gender changing certificate. The Parliament is saying that they are going to block that law so that it doesn't get royal assent. Ruben and Ayo, over to you.
Okay, two quick things. I think the bigger story, apart from this issue with regard to Sturgeon's gender law, as it is otherwise called, and what the government in the UK is saying is that they will do everything possible to block royal assent. So it's not yet law yet, but Nicola Sturgeon is saying that she will do everything to resist it. So it's between the Scottish National Party, the SNP, and then the government of the UK. But we'll see how that plays out. And if Scotland succeeds with it, it will be the first country in the Union to do that. And they are saying in Scotland that this is a triumph for human rights. But we'll see how it plays out. But what is even more interesting, in my view, is the fact that the Bristol O2 Academy, where there was an incident last week, Thursday, during the performance by Ashake, the Lambert councillors had taken a decision to suspend operations there. In fact, what the Metropolitan Police wanted was for the hall to be shut down because, according to the Metropolitan Police, because we discussed this subject on this program about how the police were conducting investigations, that there was a similar incident, although nobody died, in 2020 during a performance by Naira Marley. But nobody is blaming Nigerians, so they're blaming the structure itself, that the doors are not strong enough, and that, now going forward, that, event center has to be shut down. And what it means is that between now and January 16, many of the events scheduled for that venue will be cancelled. The other story that should be of interest is the fact that the Border Patrol is going on strike. Flights will be disrupted. Now, if you go to England, you are not likely to meet those people who check passports. They are bringing in civil servants and bringing in soldiers. These soldiers in the UK, as the head of the army said, they are being overstretched. They are being drafted into all kinds of things. They are driving ambulances. Now they are going to be checking passports at the airport. We hope, that the authorities in the UK would consider the hardship, because rail workers are going on strike, nurses are on strike, everybody's on strike. How many soldiers are they going to draft into different areas?
Absolutely. Just talking about the realities coming from a conversation around how Christmas is here in Nigeria and looking at the effect in the UK, with the winter of discontent, as it's now been infamously called. Quite unfortunate. As Dr. Abati mentioned, that perhaps it's time for Rishi Sunak, the UK Prime Minister, and the government, to capitulate and have conversations just so that they put the people at the fore, those who have worst it. And that takes me back to the other headline on not, staying away from your old age parents if you have a cold. Because again, beyond that is also they're vulnerable. There's a rise in older people accessing care in the UK, especially in winter months. And then now that we have strikes, they are trying to reduce the number of people who are accessing services of the NHS at this time. So very important. What I must point out is that the important thing about in the government is that these are the kind of conversations we want you to have with your citizens. Beyond just policy and announcements, we also want you to show that in terms of welfare and what would reduce the burden on your healthcare, you're not looking at the effect, you're looking at both cause and effect. Very important. Thank you so much, Mr. Feni.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Feni. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Kola Ologbondiyan, former National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party and spokesperson for the Atiku Abubakar Presidential Campaign Council. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Emergencies happen when you least expect them to. It gets worse when you are cash-strapped. No need to despair. First Advance has you covered. You can get that urgent cash right now on First Advance. With First Advance, salary earners can get up to 50% of their salary. No hassles. As long as you earn a monthly salary and your salary account has been active for at least 2 months. It doesn't matter if you run a salary account with First Bank or any other bank. Just dial *894*11# or simply dial *894# on your mobile phone. What's more, when you open a First Bank salary account, you can enjoy 0 charges and free debit card issuance. Download the First mobile app on Play Store or App Store today. Log in to experience First Bank digital banking. Select loans, select First Advance, and follow the prompts to receive your loan. Don't let that urgent need get the best of you. Get First Advance now. It's as simple as dialing *894*11#. First Advance. Fast, convenient, secure. You first. First Bank.
Patricia, crypto made easy. Lagos has amassed more wealth than any other state in the country to be the most comfortable city to live in.
Now Lagos is earning 51 billion naira every month.
But even with all that money, this is the Lagos you have now. Bad roads filled with potholes, poor drainage system resulting in floods during rainy season, incessant traffic congestions, increased environmental pollution, poor healthcare system, large-scale child begging, poor security and increased crime rate, impunity of state government officials, lack of clean drinking water, poor transportation system. After years of empty promises, Lagos is now rated as the second worst city to live in the world. How long shall we continue like this? Lagos is not working. We want our Lagos back. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as governor of Lagos State. Jafueko, fight for Lagos.
PDP, power to the people.
The National Pension Commission, PENCOM, is pleased to inform the general public that the third edition of pension enhancement under the Contributory Pension Scheme CPS has been approved. The exercise is for existing retirees under programmed withdrawal who have accumulated significant growth in their retirement savings accounts RSAs. The effective commencement date of the enhancement is February 2023. All relevant retirees are by this notice advised to contact their respective pension fund administrators to complete their required documentation. PENCOM assures all stakeholders of its commitment to the effective regulation, supervision, and administration of pension matters in Nigeria. Management announcer.
Knowledge is power. Information is currency. Trust us to tell you what you need to hear. Welcome to the program. You're with Arise News in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Breaking news, exclusive interviews, unrivaled analysis. It's you, the audience, who drives our agenda. We tell the stories that inform you, the stories that are important to you, and the stories that are about you. We are not every news channel. We are Arise News.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The Presidential Campaign Council, PCC, of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has accused the People's Democratic Party of alleged plots to incite violence and derail the 2023 elections. The Director of Public Affairs and spokesperson of the Tinubu-Shettima Presidential Campaign Council, Festus Keyamo, in a statement issued yesterday, called on the law enforcement agencies to, as a matter of urgency, invite PDP leaders for immediate questioning. He said the call had become imperative following the latest press statement issued by the PDP about having credible information about certain individuals plotting to derail the 2023 elections. Joining us on this show this morning to respond to the accusation from the APC Presidential Campaign Council is Kola Ologbondiyan, former National Publicity Secretary of the PDP and spokesperson for the Atiku Abubakar Presidential Campaign Council. Welcome to the morning show, Kola. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruben Abati. And let me commend you and Rufai Edo, your person, to be on this program, for standing strong in spite of the assailing on the other side. Keep doing the great work that you are doing in the interest of our nation. Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, Kola. Well, quickly, let me ask you.
But you just said that we're having a bleak Christmas. Anyway, whether bleak or not, it's still Merry Christmas to you, Doctor.
No, but you are not part of the 133 million that will not be able to have Christmas.
Oh, Doctor, Dr. Babati, don't go into the arena at all. You know, we are the people, we are the masses.
Anyway, Festus Keyamo, spokesperson for the APC, says that for leaders of the PDP, spokespersons of the PDP, to have claimed that some people in APC are the ones behind the attacks on INEC facilities and that the APC is planning to derail the 2023 elections, that you must provide proof. And he has a point there, because when you make an allegation, you prove. It's a basic principle. You who alleges must prove. And that credible information that is in possession of the PDP must be shared with the security agencies. What do you say to that challenge?
The proof is clear to every Nigerian, Doctor. Doctor, I said every Nigerian is aware of the proof. I wonder why Festus Keyamo, SAN, is running around and looking for proofs. Was he not aware that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu spoke to leaders of his party in London and told them to go and snatch, grab, and seize power and run away with it? What other proof? And have we not told the security agencies to put the leadership of APC under watch? What other proof is he looking for? Have they defended that? Have Nigerians told them that they have accepted their defense? So what other proof is he asking for? Dr. Abati, you recall that on this platform, in the beginning of the campaigns, I did appeal when they began to lift heavy instruments, and I mean verbal instruments, against the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. On this very platform, I made an appeal that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Atiku Abubakar are friends. And there are those who have been appointed to come and discuss the issues of their desires to run the affairs of this country, should not engage in subterfuge and blackmail. But they didn't listen. And Atiku and Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, when he went to Kaduna, assailed Atiku Abubakar. And at every forum where he has managed, where he has struggled to put thought process together, he has always assailed Atiku Abubakar. In spite of the fact that Atiku Abubakar has always appealed to us that when they go low, you go high. We won't sit down and watch them. And also, how can somebody who has a litany of global allegations and cannot even respond to them be the one assailing a man who is going around about his campaign quietly and gently and appealing to Nigerians and bringing out realistic solutions to the challenges of our country? How can we sit down and watch him be assailed? So if Festus Keyamo is asking security agencies to invite those who are responsible for this allegation, he should look inwards first and foremost. He should ask his principal, how did he come about a situation in which he was calling on leaders and members of his party to go and snatch, to go and grab, to run away with power?
Well, thank you, Mr. Ologbondiyan. It's interesting because the allegations you're making are really, really deep. It's not enough to surmise and postulate as to what may have happened in a closed-door meeting. Indeed, let me read the exact quote from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that your party, Mr. Ologunagba, had said in a statement. He said, Tinubu had said, political power is not going to be served in a restaurant. It is not served a la carte. It is what we're doing. It is being determined. You do it at all costs. Fight for it, grab it, snatch it, and run with it. It's important to just state that so that the public is aware of the exact statement that you're referring to. Also, in that statement, the PDP accused the APC of being perhaps behind the attacks on INEC offices, vote buying, or especially PVCs. These are heavy accusations, and as I mentioned earlier on, we can't just postulate. We need to come with evidence. Dr. Bati mentioned that earlier. However, the evidence we're asking for isn't yet, you haven't yet presented that. What evidence does the PDP have beyond hearsay as to what came out from a meeting that they weren't present in to make such bold statements and accusations against the APC?
Good morning, Ayo, and thank you for this question. It is strange that you are calling this a hearsay, an allegation that was on video that Nigerians watch across the globe, in which Asiwaju was saying that his members and leaders should go and snatch and grab and run away with power. I don't understand what we are talking about here. I truly don't understand it. And you are calling that hearsay, and that we were not part of the meeting. If we were not part of the meeting and the video is on display across the globe, so how do we detach from it? And we are in the election, in the same election, with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So, and are we not witness situation of vote buying in which APC is responsible?
No, you can't say
and
APC. Mr. Ologbondiyan, you can't say the APC is responsible without facts. That is an accusation. That's how, I'd like you to explain to Nigerians.
What other facts?
Just explain to Nigerians how you can't point fingers, especially at this level, and say that the APC is responsible without evidence. Yes, we've seen videos going around, but it doesn't clearly state which party it is. It could very well be the PDP as well.
So that's an assumption now.
The same assumption you're making.
We have had election, even election that we had in... wait now, you're asking questions. Let me respond to you. Are you speaking for APC? If you are not speaking for APC, ask me a question and let me respond to you. We don't need to fight over this. We don't need to fight over this one. You understand? In the last election in Osun State, Did you not witness vote buying by APC? So if we say that APC is engaged in vote buying, and there are videos to postulate that, and as a matter of fact, let me even remind you, Ayo, that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, in the Ekiti election, made a pronouncement and said that if you don't vote, you will not get money. It's on video, it's circulated. So what are we talking about? So why are we saying that we are doing hearsay when it's a video that I can forward to you after this program? How does that amount to hearsay? So look, help us as politicians, because it is your responsibility to help us and guide us. But the only way we can do this is to speak to the sacredness of facts. We can't run away from facts. If Asiwaju Bola Ahmed went to Ekiti and said that, look, if you don't vote, you will not get money. What is that? What is it encouraging? Did you hear that from Atiku Abubakar? And if he went to London and called his leaders or his members of his party together and said, go and snatch power, go and grab it, go and run away with it, what imagery does that portend? And what images was he creating? So these are the issues. So it's not enough to say that, oh, we are talking about hearsay when we have video, when even the party itself and their campaign has not denied this.
Okay, well,
thank you.
Well, let's talk about imagery. When Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu said power is not served a la carte, you're not serving something a la carte, it's a very common metaphor. The first time he used that expression was in 2018. It wasn't at a political campaign, it was at a book presentation, a book even on the accountancy profession. But when you tell somebody that something is not served a la carte, it's not something you just sit down and you have a menu and you pick and choose and you say, go and serve me this. I thought that another way of interpreting it is to say that if you want power, you must struggle for it. You must work hard for it. How does that translate into recommendation of violence? I mean, as a student of language, I think that, jumping in that direction would be a bit tough. However, my next question to you is this. Keyamo accuses the PDP of scaremongering. Keyamo says PDP is avoiding the issues. Is PDP avoiding the major issues of the day? And what are those issues for the PDP?
Thank you very much, Dr. Keyamo. Well, I'm not in a position to contend with you on literary issues because that is where your PhD comes from. However, it's imperative to say that the images that grabbing, snatching, running away creates also elucidate violence. You can be my teacher and you can mark my script. And I know that if I wrote this for you in an exam, you will pass me. But let's leave that aside. Having said that, Dr. Abati, it's also very imperative to say that if there is any group, if there is any party in the political firmament today who has consistently run away from issues, it is the All Progressive Congress Presidential Campaign Council, as well as their candidates and their handlers. Dr. Abati, from the beginning, Atiku Abubakar has been addressing issues. I was reading the papers this morning, and I saw Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu saying that, whether you protest or not, we will remove subsidy. And I say, these people must take Nigerians for jokers. You are telling us in the year of our Lord 2022 that no matter the protest, we are going to remove subsidy. Has he quickly forgotten the role he played when Goodluck Jonathan wanted to remove subsidy? Who led the protest? I don't understand. They think Nigerians are fools? So you are coming back now to say that no matter how much we protest, you are going to remove subsidy. When it is clear already, when Nigerians by themselves, having discovered that they were led on a journey to nowhere, and having made a detour from that journey, have come out to say that, look, give us the subsidy and let us face the consequence. Dr. Abati, we must not forget history quickly. Even though they said it's not being taught in school any longer. You remember that during the Obasanjo and Atiku tenure, that was when we began, that's when we had the issue of the lexicon of palliatives. And what led to that? Because there was a gradual removal of subsidy, and palliatives were being provided to manage removal of subsidy. It was in Atiku's administration as Vice President President Olusegun Obasanjo. And in that light, Jonathan also continued. What have we had in the last 7 to 8 years? Who were the people who came out and said that there's nothing like subsidy? Anybody who says there's subsidy is a scam. Here we are. So we are coming back to say that no matter. So when we talk about talking to the issues, Atiku Abubakar remains the only candidate who started ahead of any other to raise issues. He spoke to the issues of unity. I heard Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu talking about agriculture. Agriculture in an environment of insecurity, in an environment where people go to farm and get murdered, in an environment where people go to fish in waters and got killed. Without solving that problem, you think anybody will go to farm? All the money that has been wasted on Anchor program, where has it taken Nigeria to? So we need to face the reality. We need to face the fact. And Keyamo cannot sit down anywhere and say that we are running away from issues. Which issue are we running away from? We are the ones discussing the issues. When they discovered that, they themselves discovered it. Nobody forced them. Nigerians didn't ask them. They came out and said that they cannot campaign with Buhari's agenda and that they would rather resort to Lagos. And they went to Lagos and they are claiming that they built Lagos. And I said, when you say you built Lagos, what are we going to say about Baba Kekere, the late Lateef Jakande? What are we going to say about him? What do we say about Mobolaji Johnson? What do we say about Akimbode? What are we going to talk about Fashola? So one man is appropriating the achievements of his predecessors in office as well as his successors in office. Is that not laughable? So we are the ones discussing issues. But they thought that we could get distracted if they came after us with our heavy liftings. And we have managed to sustain them while we are not running away, while we keep talking about the issues. Thank you very much, Dr. Abati.
All right, thank you very much. Just to mention that the federal government has returned the teaching of history in schools, so that should be good news in terms of being able to know where we're coming from in order to chart our journey into the future. But let me come back again to the accusations, particularly because the spokesperson of the APC has challenged you to speak to security operatives following the statement by the PDP. One of which, again, states that, and I'll read just so that it's, it's for a direct quote from Mr. Ologwagba, who says that that you've received intelligence that part of the ploy is to orchestrate attacks in other states, including Kogi and Delta, some states of the southeast as well as parts of the north, and that's attack on INEC facilities with the view to subverting the electoral process in as many states as possible. This is, of course, as you would imagine, a great concern to Nigerians, particularly Nigerians who want to protect their votes, as we've seen, quite an interest and a larger turnout of voter registration, want to protect their votes. So these are quite heavy allegations. I'd like to ask you, the PDP has information or intelligence. Why haven't you taken that, even if you don't want to share it perhaps for security reasons, on national TV? Why haven't you taken that information to security agencies? Or perhaps the question I should ask is, have you taken it to security agencies, and what has the response been? Because this is a matter of security concern. We've had conversations on this show where we talked about the fact that despite 50 attacks on INEC offices across Nigeria since 2019. We haven't seen an arrest, prosecution, and so this would be important information to give to security agencies, don't you think? And then just talking about the fact that Nigerians, yes, maybe answer that question first and I would go to the next one later.
Thank you very much, Ayo. I'm sure you were here when we had election in Kogi State. I'm sure you were in Nigeria. And if you were not, if Nigeria is of concern, you must have read about what happened in the last election in Kogi State. I hope you heard about a fellow woman like you was burnt to death. I hope you heard how INEC itself, how one of the commissioners in INEC came out and said that there were more gunshots in Kogi in that election, much more than the number of votes that were recorded. I hope you were aware of all this. So when the party is raising concern, Ologun Agba speaks for the party. When the party is raising concerns, they are coming from somewhere. And you don't just shoot it down. Because in spite of all the shouts, in spite of all the issues raised ahead of that election in Kogi State, assurances were given. But what happened? People lost their lives. A woman, just like you, got killed and burnt in her residence, not at the polling unit. People filed up at the polling units to vote. There were helicopters shooting down at voters. The kind of violence that was witnessed in that election was unknown in the history of this country. What happened thereafter? Ayo, are you aware that anything happened thereafter? So when the party, as opposition party, is raising issues and challenges, you don't try to shoot it down. Because at the end of the day, elections will hold. And similar scenarios can be played up by those who have already been rejected by the people. So we must help INEC to get the security, by getting the security agencies to look in the direction of issues that are being raised. So when we told the security agencies, Ayo, that based on what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu directed his members to do at their meeting in London, which has been in the public space, the video is being played around, though you claim it is hearsay. What has been done on that matter? Because we reported to the security agencies by coming out to say this is what has happened, by ensuring that the video is nearly in every home in Nigeria. So what had happened since then? So I think the approach should be, and this is an advice, that we should advise the security agencies to help us ensure a peaceful, free, fair, and credible 2023 election. And that is why we told President Muhammadu Buhari, don't concern yourself about campaigning for Asiwaju. He has been rejected already by the people. So why are you going to waste your own time, precious time? Concentrate that time in guaranteeing a free and fair and credible election. That's what the Nigerians ask of you. And that way, if you can just leave the legacy of fairness, of free and fair election, Nigerians will remember you for good.
Well, on that note, Kola Ologbondiyan, we would like to thank you very much for joining us. But you can be sure that Festus Keyamo has the capacity to respond, to the statements you've made on the program this morning. I'm not sure he's going to allow you go easily like that.
They are just he will come and rabble-rouse once again. He has not, when he comes, please help me to tell him that he told Nigerians that the $460,000 that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu forfeited in the United States to the U.S. authorities was a tax. Nigerians have been asking since then, what business did Asiwaju do for that sum of taxation to be deducted from his account? Festus Keyamo has been running away from the public arena since that time. He should come here now and tell us. And that they should bring their candidate for debate.
Okay,
10 minutes.
I'm sure he's watching and listening to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Time for a short break now. When we return, Aaron Akerijola will be here with Global Sports Update. Stay with us.
reflection of the Nigerian never say die spirit. They never stay down. You're always thinking of how to improve. You're always thinking of how to move forward. My name is Emmanuel Ahimieho. I've been a civil engineer for 18 years. I'm the project manager of Obajana Kaba Road. The Obajana Kaba Road is 43 kilometers built completely of concrete pavement. We started work on December 2016. I remember when we came here, it was virtually lifeless. We're building a road that we know will need very minimal maintenance. It's a road that we don't need to rush back to in 5 years, trying to carry out major maintenance work. We don't need to import anything that we need on the road. They are all locally available materials. All the cement we use on this road is from Dangote Cement Factory, which is the largest cement factory in Africa. The sand is from the communities, so people from the community, they end up becoming suppliers. Imagine supplying sand for a 43-kilometer road. It's a lot of money. There are things I've learned from building this concrete road that I never knew 10 years ago. And to be able to lead those people to achieve something worthwhile, something that is of value to them, to the community, to people who have never met us. And I am positive that the road will outlast most of the people who are building the road. Along this road, you have up to 12 communities. People have the confidence to open shops. Why? Because, you know, someone is going through the road, they sell their things, they sell their goods. That is more money for them. We have a number of eateries now, and you want to buy food along the road, you get fresh food, not food that are preserved. No, you get fresh food. So it is good for us, and it's good for the community too. The road is a lot more safer now for everybody, including Halima, including other travelers. So they have better road, lesser crime, shorter journey times, so a lot of advantages. I've had people who go through the roads and they stop to just say, well done. We are proud of what is happening here. We're happy that this is going on in Nigeria in our time. We can see it. They are proud of it. I think it has brought life back to the communities. I feel very proud, extremely proud being a part of this project.
This na Emeka. He like to dey keep money for her. As CBN deadline don dey near so. This one na wise Emeka. As he don hear say deadline dey near, he wan carry money go deposit for the right place with Access Bank.
It's time to spread your wings and fly. Reach for the sky.
Even if the bank too far, na to go to the nearest Access Closer agent. No carry last with your money. Oh.
Get up right now, right now.
Money wey you deposit for Access Bank, na money wey go make your mind rest well well. Don't let the money spoil for your hand oh. 10 million naira today, fit be 0 naira tomorrow. Oya o, Musa, Shade, Onyinye, carry your money go Access Bank or Access Closer agent wey near you. Access, more than banking.
Chivita season, oh, oh, oh. Feel this Christmas, oh, oh, oh. Let's celebrate with Chivita.
Everyone has a Chivita this season. What's your Chivita?
Getting together for the first time in years was a little bit awkward. Grandpa still tried to entertain us. Mom was always still in the spotlight from the kids. It wasn't until Grandma cracked a joke
That's my favorite prayer.
that we got back into our groove. In this festive, DSTV is making family time even better with an upgrade.
Stay connected to DSTV and we'll upgrade you to the next package for free.
Introducing an all-time mega offer.
Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband Mega Offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 Naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 Naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband buy.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
New Naira notes? Don't panic. Here's what you need to know. Ensure to make deposits of all old banknotes before January 31, 2023. To make the process seamless for you, all Fidelity Bank branches will be open till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays to allow for cash deposits only. Also, please note that bank charges on all cash deposits have been suspended by the CBN. However, charges shall still be applied on cash withdrawals. The new banknotes can be accessed at any Fidelity Bank branch nationwide from December 15, 2022. Old banknotes will remain in circulation till January 31, 2023, when they will cease to be legal tender, as directed by the CBN. For more inquiries, follow us on our social media channels or email us at true.serve@fidelitybank.ng. You can also call 0700 3035 489 or reach us on WhatsApp on 090 3000 5252. Thank you for banking with us.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. For updates on sports stories across the globe, Aaron Akerijola joins us today. Good morning, Aaron. How are you today?
Yes, good morning to you, Ayo. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Hello, Aaron.
Yes, a wonderful Friday, I must say. And let's get straight into it. And as it stands, starting off from yesterday's fiery action, Manchester City got the better of Liverpool on the day in the Carabao Cup fixture yesterday at the Etihad Stadium. And then 4 goals to 3. 3 goals to 2, I beg your pardon. A massive 5-goal thriller, and I must say that one for Jurgen Klopp, because at the moment you look at it and you say that his mixed start to the season continues. For Pep Guardiola, he will be relishing the moment and hoping that he can actually win another trophy. Manchester City have dominated this particular trophy in recent years, and they will want to do that again. So the defending champions are out. They will need to lick their wounds and pick them up themselves when they take on Aston Villa on Monday, when the Boxing Day fixtures actually begin. So at the moment, Manchester City advance, Liverpool fall by the wayside. But when you look at the fixtures for the quarterfinals, at the moment, some say easy fixture for Manchester United against Charlton Athletic, the only EFL side in the particular quarterfinals at this business stage of the season. And also looking at the Southampton against Manchester City, at the moment, no one wants to go against Manchester City with that fiery attack, with that man, Erling Haaland, in front of goal. 24 goals in 17 games for Manchester City at the moment says it all. He's on fire, and he will be hoping to turn it up, or probably pick up from where he left off when the Premier League went on a hiatus thanks to the World Cup. Now, speaking about the Premier League, we will be having Boxing Day fixtures, and a lot is expected from teams as they'll be hoping to once again rise to the occasion. But Arsenal are in a very unfamiliar position in a very long period of time. We know they've won the Premier League title, but they're top of the table as we speak, and they'll be hoping to stretch that 5-point advantage to maybe 7 or 9 and try to put daylight between themselves and the defending champions, Manchester City. But at the moment, everyone seems to be calling Arsenal the placeholder, knowing that at some point, with the form of Manchester City, with their pedigree, they might just rise like fine milk to the top of the glass. Let's see how it actually goes. Quickly, the FIFA rankings are out, the latest, and at the moment, the Seleção of Brazil are the best team according to the FIFA ranking as we speak. And when looking at the teams that actually went to the World Cup, Argentina is second, The Les Bleus of France are third. Belgium were the second best team going into the World Cup. They fall into fourth. You actually look at that. Croatia, not done badly for themselves. Morocco, highly placed right now, 11th on the FIFA ranking. Kudos to that remarkable run that they actually had. So you look at it, I said to yourself, some actually appreciated, some depreciated. But good on 4 African teams. You can see Senegal in 19th there, Tunisia in 30th. The Super Eagles of Nigeria are in 35th, just to put that into perspective, by the way. And before I wrap it, okay, Sudbey, the man that is popularly known for his antics with the food and his steak and all that, probably some say he got egg-faced, some say it was a show of shame. He decided to take to the pitch. FIFA said unauthorized, that no, he wasn't given permission to do that, and he was trying to what the Gen Zs call clout chasing, going around players trying to get pictures with them with the trophy, and several of them not looking particularly enthused to see him on the pitch of play, almost like a party pooper. They said he was chasing around Lionel Messi. That picture there shows it, or some say that wasn't the case, but FIFA said they've opened an investigation into how he got into the pitch and he also broke the rule, understanding that only players and heads of states are given permission in the closing ceremony to touch the trophy. So how he got his hand on the trophy, and I don't think FIFA will be inviting him for any major game. As a matter of fact, he was one of the people that Infantino was following, but at the moment, Infantino has probably unfollowed him as we speak. And finally, the 28th of December, the Nigeria Professional Football League kicks off for a new season. We'll be hoping to see more action. There are more sponsors in the league, and we're hoping to see the best league yet. Kudos to the IMC. They've been trying to steer the league in the right direction. We're hoping to see great things happen locally.
Well, congratulations to Manchester City.
Yeah.
And I think the outcome is not surprising.
Not at all.
Because
Not at
Liverpool, we need to work on their form. They seem not to be on top of their game. And in any case, you can't also be surprised about Erling Haaland. His country, Norway, did not go to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So he had more than enough time to rest. And then so he came back with a bang. 22-year-old, and I guess a lot more will still be seen from him, beyond the Carabao Cup when the Premier League resumes. Well, Nigeria been downgraded on the FIFA rankings from 33 to 35. Well, are you surprised? This is a national team that has been marked by inactivity and poor performance. The last match we played, even before the World Cup, we lost 4-0.
Yeah, against Portugal.
Against Portugal, yes, it was against Portugal. And that was, Ronaldo was not even there. If Ronaldo had been on the field of play, maybe we would have been given more goals. But the thing is, of course, now that the league in Nigeria is resuming, we need to pay more attention to football and other sports as well. Because football, which used to bring us so much glory, as I've argued elsewhere, is in a state of arrested development. Yes. Arrested development because of the failure of leadership, because of the failure to develop the league. As for Sudbey, he's said to be the friend of Gianni Infantino.
Not anymore.
Well, he got VIP tickets.
Yes, he did.
He got VIP tickets. So how did he get crashed? It's not only FIFA that will no longer invite him to tournaments. The U.S. Open Final, which is the longest lasting football tournament in the U.S. They have issued a statement that he must not come anywhere near the finals. It's not. He's a chef. He should stay in the kitchen, pouring salt on trophies. It's not something. He was even kissing the World Cup trophy.
He was super excited. Anyway, I mean, we can understand the excitement, but he's now garnered a ban. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Always a pleasure.
We'll take a short break now. And when we return, we'll be talking to Olusegun Ogunwemide, Sector Commander, Federal Road Safety Corps for Lagos. Stay with us.
The Zenith Better Life promo is back, and it's bigger and better. You could be one of 20 lucky customers to win 150,000 naira every 2 weeks from now till January 31st, 2023. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account and maintain a minimum balance of 5,000 naira. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife.
Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Me and my guys see enter road, they flexing my brand new moto. My baby said she win the homo. Festival of Joy Globe promo. And my fans get fans with them still we know still. Even if light off fan, we go still go. Hey, wait. Now they don't carry lights. We the region, someone like go still show. It's the festival of Joy Globe promo. Fashion killer, dress code bigger. Win so we machine for the Glow Festival. My guys just they win left, right and center. That's the 611 hash to enter. Festival of Joy. Oh yeah. Festival of 611 hash to win and enjoy. Festival of Joy. Oh Festival. That's the 611 hash to enter.
Papa, mama, brother, sister, this Lagos must work for all of us. Everybody down
Oh yes, Lagos people, papa, mama, sister, brother, auntie, plus including uncle them. Better don't land for Lagos State gidigba. Money will be for Lagos State, then go use them for Lagos State. Wella, no more baba sope. Then no go chop Lagos State money. Nobody go pocket Lagos State. Then go take and build Lagos State, build road, build hospital, build houses, and now only one man fit do this job. His name na Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jando. He can't carry one obonge person as the deputy governor. Her name na Funke Akindele Jennifer. My people, what will they wait for? Make we vote for light, vote for change. No be the kind change where they vote before. This one na the original change. How Amumu don't do. Pay they pay.
Everybody down
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Apart from the festivities the Yuletide season is known for, there is a concern about the traffic situation and safety of travelers. Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has mobilized over 30,000 personnel to participate in the end-of-the-year special patrol aimed to proactively save lives and to ensure safe travels at all times, especially during the celebration of the Christmas and New Year. The operatives participating in the exercise were deployed from all field commands and the national headquarters for the end-of-the-year special patrol tagged Operation Zero Tolerance to Road Traffic Crashes. Joining us on the show this morning to discuss the preparation by the Federal Road Safety Corps ahead of the Christmas and New Year celebrations is Segun Ogungbemide, Sector Commander, FRSC, Lagos. Welcome to the morning show. Mr. Ogungbemide. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ogungbemide. You are on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, we're told. Can you give us an idea of what the traffic is like and what you have observed since the preparations for the Christmas season began?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very much on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway at the Kara Opik end of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And what we are witnessing this moment is something we should be careful about. At least for the past 2 hours I've been at this terrain. The traffic is moving freely, both inward and outward Lagos. And the little hitch that I will call inward Lagos around Kara, there was a little crash that I will call, it was promptly removed. So the normalcy has been restored. So at present, we have the inward and outward flowing freely. And I think it's something to commend.
Excellent. Operation Zero Tolerance to Crashes 2022. I must say that many Nigerians who are watching would be relieved to understand the efforts your command is making to ensure that not only do we reduce the rate of traffic on our roads, but also ensure that we also reduce drastically, hopefully, the number of road crashes that we experience, especially during Yuletide seasons like this. I'd like you to share with us some of the causes and ways that Nigerians can abide to ensure that we have next to zero crashes during this season.
Thank you very much. It has become a tradition that when we tend toward the end of the year, there's always an upsurge in traffic movements. And if it is not well regulated, if it lacks discipline as regards the activities of the road users, there's every tendency for us to have road traffic crashes. And that is the essence of this Operation Special Patrol that is always being put in place as an intervention to checkmate this. Operation Zero Tolerance to road traffic crashes. That is putting all what is required in place by Federal Road Safety Corps to make sure that any infraction is met with necessary sanction so that we record, if possible, zero road traffic crashes. And that's what we have been able to do so far. We started with sensitization at the beginning of the year, and towards the end of the year, we came up with a theme: avoid speeding, avoid overloading, and procure safe tires so that you can get to your destination alive. We all realize that the rate of road traffic crashes that involves in fatal crashes are always as a result of speeding, and that's why the emphasis is on this. And this is coupled with the fact that our roads are getting better. And when you see the roads getting better, you see so much indiscipline as regards speeds that leads to loss of control and death. And that's why the Corps Marshal, Deputy Corps Marshal Dauda Biu, has deployed virtually all the equipment and human resources that are required to make this season very free for road users. And your guess is as good as mine. On Lagos-Ibadan Expressway alone, we have so many vehicles that have been deployed that at every 10 kilometers, you have the presence of Federal Road Safety Corps. Two things to be achieved: to calm the speed and for prompt intervention when there's a crash. And apart from that, we have activated all our road traffic crashes reducing policies that will enable us to have less crashes on our roads. We have the Safe to Load, where we have many of our operatives at various depots where loadings are being made to make sure that any vehicle that is not meeting up to minimum safety standard is not allowed to be on the highway, so that the road can be free for road users. And apart from that, all other road users have been sensitized enough that though the road is not smiling, but it all depends on the ability of each and every one of us to manage the road. At every instant where we have obstruction, where we have crashes, we expect the burden of the road to be equally shared by all, not that people will be shunting or going against the traffic and end up creating more problems for the others. So these are the things we put in place to make it a better one for us this year.
Okay, I like that the road is not smiling. Wole Soyinka says the road lies in wait in his play of that theme titled The Road. And we're also told, may your road be rough by Tai Sholare. But I know you're trying to prevent crashes on the road. The FRSC has talked about offenses and penalties. What is the most prevalent form of offense on the road. That's one. And the second one, how many personnel do you have under your command? Other commands have announced the number of men and women that they will be deployed. In the Lagos command, how many have been deployed?
Okay, thank you very much. For, like I said, every infraction goes with necessary sanctions. These are fines that is attached to each offenses. And for speeding, it depends on the categories of road you are making use of. If you're on the express, like we are now, for private vehicles, you are not expected to go beyond 100 kilometers per hour, while for commercial, you are not expected to go beyond 90 kilometers per hour. But if you are within the township, that is, where you are within the township, recall that the global safety status, said every built-up area, nobody is expected to go more than 30 kilometers per hour. And this is what we key into. If you go against this, the fines is attached. It's either you are taken to mobile court or you are made to pay your fines, which is 5,000 naira as per the offense. And as regards the second question about our deployment in Lagos, as I speak to you, we have a total of 1,247 of our operatives already deployed all over Lagos. We have about 2,000 special marshals too, also deployed. And apart from that, we have 57 patrol vehicles deployed at strategic location to be able to intervene in what we are tackling now. And apart from that, we have about 6 ambulances deployed at strategic places. You know, we have 4 major corridors that enter Lagos. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, we have Ikorodu end, we have Ekpe end, and we have Ota. That is Ota, Abeokuta, Lagos end. All these facilities are well deployed here. And we have also engaged so many tow trucks operatives that are assisting us in case there's any obstruction, because we have zero tolerance to obstruction. At the point where obstruction will occur, there's necessary intervention to make sure that there's free flow of traffic. And outside that, we have activated all our first responders that in case there's any crash, under 5 minutes, our first responders are always at the point to assuage pains and to save people from dying. And these are all the things that Lagos has put in place to make it a free movement within this season.
Thank you. Now, with regards to the mobile courts, it would be interesting to find out where, along which axis, and also to ask the question as to how, if there are checks and balances, or what checks and balances are available to ensure that they are fair and equitable, and so that those who go to those courts are given the same treatment irrespective of who they are or what they represent. It would be great to hear that, and also to share with us some of the things that the Federal Road Safety Corps is doing to ensure to support travelers on your federal roads with regards to security as we travel across cities in Nigeria.
I didn't get the message.
All right, so I asked, the first one is the mobile courts. What to ensure there's fairness and equity so that anyone who is apprehended, will be fairly responded to respective of background.
The free toll number is 122. The free toll number is 122. Anywhere you are, the moment the number is called in case of emergency, they are going to reach out to the nearest location of FRSC or patrol vehicle for necessary intervention. It is 122, it is very active, and it has been working fine.
So you mentioned a mobile court. I was asking around the location and the checks to ensure that it will be fair and equitable for anyone who brings, for anyone who is apprehended by FRSC.
I didn't get that question.
Okay, so I was just asking around the operations of the mobile court. Can you hear me, Mr. Ogungbemide?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
So Mr. Ogungbemide, can you hear me? All right, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll reconnect with Mr. Segun Ogungbemide, Sector Commander, FRSC in Lagos State.
Imagine your wallet can be everything. Well, almost everything your bank is to you. That's exactly what First Money Wallet is. First Money Wallet from First Bank is another swift and seamless way to bank from your mobile phone. It doesn't matter if you have a First Bank account or not, nor the mobile network you use. Everyone can open a First Money Wallet, and it's very easy. Your phone number is your account number. With First Money Wallet, you can send money using just a phone number, receive money, pay bills, buy airtime and data for yourself or someone else, and check balance. You don't need a bank account at all or BVN to enjoy the boundless possibilities First Money Wallet offers. All you need is a registered phone number, and you can fund your wallet easily through your First Bank account or any bank account and debit card. What's more, First Money Wallet is highly secure with fingerprint technology and PIN. And when you need cash, just walk up to any First Money agent near you to withdraw money. No smartphone, no wahala. Just dial *894*1# on any phone. So it doesn't matter if you live in the city or the remotest part of the country. With First Money Wallet, your transactions are easy, seamless, and secure. Download the First Money Wallet app now. Input your phone number and follow the prompts, or simply dial *894*1#. All money now on First Money. You first. First Bank.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still speaking with Mr. Segun Ogungbemide, Sector Commander, FRSC Lagos, who's joining us live on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Again, sir, I was just asking you before the break about how the mobile court will work. How will it work? How will it operate? Mr. Ogungbemide, I was asking as to the operations of the mobile court. How will it work?
Okay, Mr. Ogungbemide, if you can hear me. Or is he not there?
Well, we're trying to connect with him again. And Dr. Basi, just talking about it's wonderful and good to see, the backdrop of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway looking free. The federal government had announced that they're going to open up and suspend work so that there can be free movement for the Yuletide season. So it's interesting to note that. Something that was also reported by the FRSC was the fact that roadside sellers cause a big menace on the road. Beyond just traffic, it's also a threat and danger for the lives of the sellers themselves. And they talk about the number of deaths that have occurred as a result of this. When you're traveling and you see the people who are rushing by you, you stop to buy, what are the popular snacks that we get on the road that are only familiar with those federal roads. As nice and nostalgic as they are, they do pose a very serious health and safety risk. And just a message out there to commuters this season to avoid as much as possible, just to reduce the number of road traffic crashes and ultimately deaths on our road.
Well, the first thing here is about personal safety. Nigeria is probably the only country that I know where people drive as if they want to commit suicide. There are many persons on our roads out there who know nothing about road signs, traffic regulations, and so making the work of people who want to ensure safety extraordinarily difficult. But I think people have the right, have a responsibility to take charge of their own personal safety. As the street hawkers, part of the poverty issue, they take advantage of traffic snarls. When there is a traffic snarl, that's when they actually show up. But if there is no congestion on the road, it may not happen. I understand Mr. Ogungbemide is there now. So, Mr. Ogungbemide, thanks for having you back with us. Ayo was asking you about mobile courts.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, mobile court is one of the intervention efforts we put in place to bring the recalcitrants and offenders to book. And like you are aware, it's a way of giving enforcement a better bite. rather than paying the normal fines, you are taken to the mobile court where you are charged accordingly, and it's at the discretion of the magistrate to give you the necessary punishment in line with what the rule says. And that is the way it has operated. And we come to realize that an average road user that is an offender has some measures of fear for judiciary, and this has really helped us in flipping people to be corrected.
Okay, let me ask you, it's not only the road safety that is on the road. The police have also deployed personnel for this Christmas season. Civil defense, we also have them on the road, also trying to ensure safety and provide security from their own angle. Is there any synergy among all these agencies that are on the road? That's the FRSC, the police, the civil defense. Was there any kind of consultation as to how to help the average traveler?
If you look at the background of this highway now, I'm sure you notice the presence of civil defense operatives working with me along this corridor. That's the product of the robust synergy that we have been enjoying in Lagos State. The police, the civil defense, and all other paramilitary, the other state agencies, we have been working together. When we were doing our infraction mop-up in Lagos, especially for the articulated vehicles, I worked with the BIS in making sure that vehicles that are not meeting up to minimum safety standard are removed from our road in preparation for a day like this. And that is the kind of synergy we have. You know, ours is about safety and traffic management. We are not harmed. We do encounter a lot of assaults and embarrassment on the highway most time, and that's why we have the backup of armed security agencies to give the necessary security to our operatives. And that's what we have been enjoying in Lagos. And it has really assisted in keeping safety and security on our highways.
Thank you. You talk about embarrassment that some of your officials have faced in the course of duty. I'd also like you to speak to the embarrassment that they sometimes cause motorists, and to assure Nigerians the efforts that have been made to ensure that they are trained to deal with even erring motorists in a civil manner.
Yes. One of the major achievements of Federal Road Safety Corps that you agree with me is an elite corps, and for you to be an elite corps is the fact that you are decent, you are modest, you are civil in your disposition to members of the public. Our men have been trained that under any provocation they should not lose their head, and that's why you hardly record issues of assault and aggression towards members of the public from FRSC, and we have sustained this over the years. And we continue to sensitize our operatives on the need to be very decent when carrying out their activities. Over the more than 34 years now, FRSC have been operating without arms, and you wonder how we have been doing it. The secret is in our civility and our disposition to members of the public, very decent. We speak to their conscience, and when it is necessary, we use subtle force without harassment. And this is what we have used as weapons over the years.
Just before we go, it's good you mentioned articulated vehicles. When you mentioned that, it caught my attention. Only yesterday at Sele Express in Lagos, along the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway, one articulated vehicle carrying a container 40 feet fell on vehicles. Now, what is actually the policy about articulated vehicles? Because many of them, they carry unlatched containers. And those containers, they just fall off anytime the vehicle gets into a bump. And why is it that we have so many articulated vehicles bearing unlatched containers and they are not checked?
Thank you very much. Yes. One thing we are missing out is we fail to appreciate the enormosity of issues of articulated vehicles as regards business in Lagos. Lagos is the destination of virtually all articulated vehicles or all business in Nigeria today. On daily basis, we record more than 360 vehicles, that's wet cargo vehicles that are leaving the port or Apapa to every other destination. Not to now mention the ones that are carrying containers. That is what Lagos is. So naturally, once in a while, you encounter issues of crashes involving these articulated vehicles. That is what transportation business is all about. But one thing that is quite important that I want to make clear here is that what we are witnessing is a product of the enormosity of the effort FRSA has put in place over the years as regards the policy we have put in place to reduce the carnages being caused by these vehicles on our highway. That incident that happened yesterday could have been worse than that if not for the fact that that truck was twist-locked. The container was twist-locked to the flatboard. Because what we witnessed in the past is the truck throwing its container on another vehicle. But this time around, it fell, even with still intact with the body of the vehicle. And it's unfortunate that we have to lose that individual that got involved in that yesterday's crash. We have put a lot of policies in place that have assisted in reducing vehicles that are plying the road without meeting up with the minimum safety standard or Nigerian rules. And you agree with me, where are we coming from? Where are we today? If you want to judge by the population of trucks in Lagos, we will have been recording crashes every day, if not for the intervention of all the security agencies and traffic management agencies, especially the policy of safe to load. We have more than, like I said, 360 tankers moving out of Lagos on a daily basis. We have more than 500 articulated vehicles carrying containers moving more than out of Lagos every day. But we hardly record crashes because of the intervention of Federal Road Safety Corps. So when it occurs like this, we feel pains, and it's another way of trying to tell us that we still have to do more. And that is the takeaway from the incident of yesterday. But I have to tell you this, that if not for the fact that that vehicle was twist-locked, because as of today, no vehicle can leave the port without either lashed or twist-locked. And I want to clear one thing now. If you don't see any rope around the container, it does not mean that it has not been safeguarded. For container, you are expected to twist-locked. That is for container. For open cargo, for exposed cargo, you are expected to lash it. When you talk of vehicles carrying pipes or carrying generators or other equipment that are exposed, those are the ones that are lashed, while the containers are twist-locked. They have 4 hooks where this twist-locking is done, so that when the vehicle falls, they are still kept intact with the vehicle rather than being thrown to other vehicles. And that's what has saved so many lives in Nigeria today.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ogungwemi, the Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Lagos State. Thank you very much indeed. It's time now for a short break. When we return, Ojinika Ope will be here with What's Trending. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Patricia, crypto made easy.
As a player, there's nothing better than the roar of your crowd. But in Nigeria, there's a roar that may not be heard again. With fewer than 50 lions left, they could be extinct in the next few years, from loss of habitat and prey, and snares set for illegal bushmeat. So please, say no to illegal bushmeat. Let's keep the roar alive for Nigeria, because poaching steals from us all.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll
Vault it for my loans. Vault it. Overdraft. Vault it. Step by step to my dream business with Vault. Vault is the answer. Salary earners. Vault it. Entrepreneurs. Vault it. Get your loans with no collateral. Yeah. Vault is the answer. Quick sign up. Vault it. Zero paperwork. Vault it. Step by step to your dream business with Vault. By Polaris Bank.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Vault is the answer.
Esther, you're late again. Esther?
She's a wandering light in the darkness. She's beautiful. Oh, she's a superstar.
Morning, Esther.
She never let her mama down. She's beautiful. She know the fear. She know they ever got a hand for her.
No phones at the table, please. Esther? I love you too.
Got everything? Don't forget I'll pick you at 4.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
My brother, my sister, una dey there? Listen, make I clear una well. To win election, no be only say your vote na im plenty pass o. Before person fit win election for we country, the person must win 25% of vote for 2/3 of state, plus the FCT for Nigeria. That one na for president. And governor must win the same thing for all local government area for the state. Na so our constitution put am o, and na so all our presido take become presido. All our governors na the same way them take win. So therefore, my people, our country big no be small o, and we get different language, different religion, ethnic group nko. That one self dey nyafu. Now why nobody fit think say if you don't get north vote, abi south vote, abi east or west vote, you don't do. Na lie yo, except you collect vote from all over the country, you just dey bobo yourself. Make una tell everybody, make everybody for know now. Make you no focus fight tomorrow. Na Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, bring on this message.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is Ojinika Ojiokwe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinix.
Good morning, Dr.
Thank God it's Friday.
TGIF.
Are you in Christmas mode already?
I am actually. I am. My children have been asking, what are we doing for Christmas? Ayo, what are you doing for Christmas?
Oji. Oh, for Christmas, well, spending time with family, resting. It's not a season to really move up and down because of traffic, unfortunately, but at least still milking the goodness out of Christmas and ensuring that we're not defeated. No retreat, no surrender.
Fantastic. I hope I can come share Christmas with you. I'm in the Christmas spirit. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, on Thursday urged his supporters to take the money offered to them by opposition political parties and vote for him and still vote for him at the polls in 2023. Obi made the call at the Labour Party presidential rally in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Well, according to Obi, the money from opposition parties offered to his supporters belonged to Nigeria, but was stolen by those in government. The Labour Party presidential candidate at the rally also reiterated his promise to fight insecurity and unite Nigeria. Let's take a look.
Our number one job is to secure and unite Nigeria. Our number two job is to make sure that we have a country where there's rule of law, where there's a great environment. We want to have a place where there's a great environment for people to invest, where we have law and order, where police will be a helper. We want to have a country where education is number one priority in terms of development. That money when they give you, now your money when they don't give you. Take time, chop, vote for me. Because the money when they give you, and the money they give you, be say you don't get to work. The money when they give you, say you don't get health. I will pay for education. I will make the society work. You will become rich. I want to build a society where people will secure, where a child of nobody will be able to be.
Well, Peter Obi again reiterated his promise to secure Nigeria and to unite Nigeria. But, you know, this video has come at a time where a lot of people are talking about vote buying, you know, the cost of electioneering and all of that. I don't know, what do you make of his, you know, urge for his supporters to take the money from opposition parties and still vote your conscience? What do you make? Do people say, I mean, is it encouraging vote buying? I mean, what do you make of that?
So it's interesting, OJ, because that was him in Rivers State. And it's interesting because it sounds very nice to the ears.
Yeah.
You can even hear the people cheering him on as he spoke and telling them, you know, collect their money, because don't joke with the money, you know, tell us what you want to say, but don't joke with my money. But on a serious note, though, earlier this year, CSOs had come out to encourage Nigerians to reject monies by politicians, because it is, and we're trying to, we've been preaching the message of say no to vote buying, your vote is your right, protect your vote. And so this messaging, as well, probably noble, or in terms of trying to speak the language of the people as he was trying to, shouldn't really be promoted. What the messaging should be that Nigerians should stick up, say no to vote buying, stand up for your rights, ensure that you're voting competence as opposed to the little change that's given to you, and let that messaging be consistent. Beyond just saying, it makes, I mean, people will like that, say maybe the higher moral ground then. At the very level he's speaking to the people, at that level is collect their money but still vote your conscience, because people need money. And he says, it's their money they're giving you, stolen funds. But the higher ground, I would say, I would go back to what the CSO, Civil Society Organization, said, which is reject the money, refuse to collect it, and let us bring back integrity, this sense of integrity in our nation again, where you're like, I won't collect your money, instead, I'll vote my conscience and vote what's right.
All right, Ayo. Dr. Batin.
Okay. The Electoral Act frowns at vote by any kind of inducement, whether it's vote, it's money you are using, or it is corn you are using, or you are using a roasted plantain to influence voters. What the law says, and what INEC has consistently insisted upon, is that, look, you should vote according to your conscience. The pillar of democracy is the ability of the people to make free and informed choice. So Mr. Peter Obi saying, oh, collect their money and vote for me, well, it could be interpreted at one level as trying to encourage vote buy. But if we put it in context, because after saying that, he went on quickly to define what he actually meant by that, because context is very important, key, yes, you know, in analyzing language and communication. He went ahead to now say that the money that I will give you, other people are doing the wrong thing. They are trying to induce you. But the money that I will give you is education, healthcare, security. I will move Nigeria, he has always said, from consumption to production. Okay, those were the key messages from that particular rally in Port Harcourt. Now, Peter will be going to Port Harcourt after appearance in Uyo and Calabar. It's also instructive because you could say that it's in friendly environment. Why do I say it's in a friendly environment? In November, he was invited by Governor Wike to come and commission a flyover, the night flyover. I think they've done 10 now. So he commissioned the night flyover. And on that occasion, Governor Wike promised that anytime he wanted to come and campaign in Port Harcourt, that he would receive good reception and that he would assist him with logistics. So we will not know the extent of the logistics or the scope of the logistics that he got. But of course, it was in a friendly environment. Even made more exciting this particular campaign by the appearance of P-Square, Paul and Peter Okoye, who are very well-known supporters and prominent members of the Obedient group with, the brothers supporting Peter Obi. They had been expected to show up in Uyo. They couldn't make it, but they were there in Port Harcourt live, and they energized that campaign. So we're seeing a very colorful campaign, not just politics, but also, music and dance and all of that, joining it. So that's what happened in that contest. But just to remind people that vote buying is an offense. But the contest in which he's talking relates to the issues that are central to his campaign.
Well said, Dr. Abati. We'll take another story still in Rivers State. The governor of the state, Nyesom Wike, on Thursday, at the inauguration of a flyover in Obiakwo, local government area of the state, said that he will mobilize people from state to state to campaign for his preferred presidential candidate from January. The governor, who has been at the center of the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party over calls for Irocha Ayu to step down as national chairman of the party, also urged those in attendance at the inauguration ceremony to join in the campaign, stating that it was time for them to convert their wristwatches and shoes to votes. Let's take a look.
From January next year, I will campaign to my people whom they will vote for. I will campaign to my people whom they will vote for. So all of you who have been the suspects, who have been saying all kinds of things, abusing me, wait. January has come. January has come. Not only will I tell them where they will vote, I will move from state to state and why they should vote for the people I think they should vote for. Nothing will happen. So all of you appearing on television, abusing me, don't waste your saliva again. January is a come. January is a come. So don't waste your saliva. Don't be going on whatever you call your platform. All those of you who are telling Nigerians you used to have 40 shoes, you have to have 50 wristwatches. Time has come to convert those shoes and wristwatches to vote.
I hope you're listening. You have to convert those wristwatches and shoes. But wait, let me ask Dr. Abati, because he's your friend here now. I mean, what does this entail? Is he like, who is this chosen candidate that you might think will be come January?
What we know so far is that Governor Wike has been very friendly with members of the opposition. He was speaking at Obiakwo at the commissioning of the 10th flyover. He says he will start a campaign in January. But he has been campaigning since. All those commissioning of projects from one local government to another is a way of, campaigning and projecting his own interests. It's a kind of campaign. And all the persons that he had invited to come and commission projects, they are mostly people from other parties. First, the APC. We just mentioned Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party, who also commissioned a flyover. President Muhammadu Buhari, who is the leader of the APC, was also in Port Harcourt to commission projects. He has not for once invited the presidential candidate of his own party or any prominent member of the People's Democratic Party, that is not aligned with them. Okay, so in that regard, he has already given some indication of where his interest lies. Even the candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Kwankwanso, has been seen also, in very friendly circumstances in Port Harcourt with Governor Wike. So, but the contradiction here is that he says he's not leaving the PDP because the people who are in charge of the PDP now, they are persons who left PDP and came back when he had always been there. So if he says he will make the candidate of his choice known in January, is he saying he will be in PDP and vote or ask people to vote for another political party? Because if he does that, that will amount to anti-party activities. And it may come back to hunting. And he says he will campaign from state to state. Why state to state? I mean, he's a governor of Rivers State. And apart from politics, the people of Rivers State still need him to focus on the job. Even if he has done so many projects, he has to show up in the office. Yeah. The people he's appearing on television, I hope that doesn't include television anchors. The only phrase I didn't hear in that video that you showed is, enough is...
Enough!
So we wait for Governor Wike in January.
But we must commend him for all of the projects that he's commissioned recently. But there's another thing he said in that video, all of you people that have been abusing me, come January, you will know. What do you think that means?
I'm like Dr. Wati said, I'm now wondering, is Mr. Wike or Barrister Wike a governor, an actor? He's just giving us premium entertainment this election season. As he's mentioned, some people have said that he's grandstanding. He's really, it's almost getting to his head in terms of releasing statements like this and saying that I'll campaign from whoever I choose and I'll tell you who to vote for, almost implying that he has followers who are just waiting eagerly for the manifestation of Governor Wike as to who he will anoint as his chosen one for election 2023, and then all of them now follow, right? At the end of the day, it's still one man, one vote in the Nigerian, in Nigeria. So he can influence, absolutely, and people might look up to him. And I believe, like you mentioned, the fact that he's still commissioning, infrastructure in the state and perhaps some of his legacy projects as he plans to exit is what he's doing. But face the work. May 2023 is still about 5 months away. There's still work to be done in River State. His this campaign around the country, how much time would he have, as Dr. Abati mentioned, to actually do the work he's been voted and elected to do? And then in the event, I'm eagerly, just like you, I cannot for the life of me tell you who is going to, whom Governor Wike is going to go with. All of us are eagerly waiting for January, and the saga continues.
Yes, it does. Well said, Ayo. All right, then. We'll take another story, a rather sad one. In Kaduna State, where the 39 victims who died in a violent attack in Malogam, Kaduna State, have been laid to rest, according to reports. The attack occurred on Sunday at about 11 p.m. and lasted for over 1 hour. The Kaduna State chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria, through its chairman, Joseph Hayab, has condemned the killings, describing the action of the terrorists as barbaric and a strategy to scare the people from exercising their Christian rights, while the Nigerian Bishop Yakubu Kundi, in a letter to the Christian news agency, denounced the attack as a deliberate plan to unleash evil on Christian villagers because they do not profess the same religion as the attackers, and because they oppose their violent activities in Kaduna State. Residents in Kaduna have raised the alarm on the incessant killings in their community. Some have questioned the caliber of cartridges found in their community.
They pick this one in this community. This one has green color. This one has green color. Where is this one coming from? Where is this one coming from? Yes. Dubai. This one coming from. Where is it coming from? This is like they pick this one in this community. This one has green color. This one has green color. Where is this one coming from? Where is this one coming from? Yes. Dubai. This one coming from. Where is it coming from? This is like
Ayo, this is so sad. Thousands of people in Kaduna State have been displaced due to these violent attacks. This occurred on Sunday. I believe about 100 gunmen opened fire in the people in Malagum community. And it's quite sad to see that the people that died, majority of them were Christians. They are, you can see that if you pull up that list, you can see they're all young Christians that died in that attack. You cannot fault the bishops that have come out to say that this seems to be an attack on the Christian community. Something needs to be done. It is so sad. May their souls rest in perfect peace. This is appalling.
Yes, it's really sad. Unfortunately, Southern Kaduna is in the news again. And, for usually in recent times, for reports like this, news reports like this. As you mentioned, Bishop Yakubu Kundin of the Diocese of Kafanchan, Nigeria, was speaking to the Catholic News Agency where he said that this was a deliberate plan to unleash evil against Christians. When you make statements, when a man of the cloth makes statements like this, there has to be, you have to give credence or at least listen to the agitations of Christians who live in Southern Kaduna. The video that of particular interest to me or attention for many Nigerians is that video of the shell, where they picked up one of the shells that came out. Yes, that video right there. And the question has been asked again that can we run ballistic tests on these shells? Is the Nigerian Security Agency saying that they are not able to investigate based on some of the evidences collected at these sites? It is very unfortunate. We must hold the government to task. The presidential candidates must be speaking about this. Atiku Abubakar had spoken earlier about the fact that he was going to sort out security in that area. We must hold this. It cannot be that they are not able to contain Southern Kaduna. It's not possible. Absolutely. How can 100 men enter a town and then no one has been arrested, no one has been picked up? Then what are security agencies doing?
Yeah, the worst part is this has been going on for at least a week before that actual incident occurred. So you see that those people that were killed, they actually thought that the gunmen were people in uniform.
Yes, to help them.
And then they just opened fire on them. Horrible.
Very sad.
Okay, around this community, Malagum, in Kafanchan area of Kaduna State, there was an incident on December 13, and then you have this second incident, December 18. The operational base, the military base around that area, the commander, General Timothy Opurum, has been quoted as saying that this is a case of reprisal killing. The people who attacked on December 18, they were persons who felt their own persons had been killed on December 13. So it's like an Egyptian, dramatic situation in which people kill, for honor, and people don't ever forget, what they have lost. They think they have to revenge. And this has been a repetitive cycle in the whole of Southern Kaduna. It didn't start today. Since the 80s, you remember the Kafanchan riots. You remember all the killings in Southern Kaduna. People attack themselves. The others think they will do reprisal. And it speaks to the failure of security that we've been talking about. And government has not been able to do anything about it. There is underlying this ethnicity and religion. And because it's Catholics that are usually targeted, it looks like, crisis of religious freedom, crisis of freedom of thought in Nigeria, and the persecution of persons on the basis of faith. So the point to make is that whoever is going to become president of Nigeria, well, that will be till May But even now, the present administration must see that the battle is a very serious one to protect the security of lives and property as the law stipulates.
All right, we shall take our final story. Well, I'm sure this will interest followers of the popular Turkish chef Salt Bey, who has been banned from attending the US Open Cup final in 2023 for entering the football pitch in Qatar at the end of the World Cup final, while Salt Bey was pictured holding and kissing the World Cup trophy while celebrating with Argentina players after their win over France. FIFA says it's investigating how the celebrity chef gained undue access to the pitch. According to FIFA rules, the trophy can only be held by a very select group of people, including tournament winners, while Salt Bey owns a chain of luxury steakhouses and rose to fame in 2017 after his technique for preparing the seasoned meat became an internet meme. I mean, Ayo, I know you know this man.
Yes,
But I mean, it sounds funny,
Anyway,
but it's not as funny as it sounds.
We discussed
Yes,
this,
you did, right? I thought
and
that
he's
I
been
should
told
do-
not to put salt,
Not to put salt.
on the World Cup.
But it was so weird to
Okay,
see.
thank
I
you.
needed to end
Thank
this
you,
on a
Juneka.
light note because of the sad story.
Thank you.
that we
Thank you,
took.
Juneka.
Well, both
We're
of
done.
You both have a great
And that's
weekend.
all
Thank you.
on today's edition of The Morning Show. Rochus Odiri will be here to take you through Global Business Reports. Stay with us. It's still the Arise News Channel.
This na Emeka. He like to dey keep money for her. As CBN deadline don dey near so. This one na wise Emeka. As he don hear say deadline dey near, he wan carry money go deposit for the right place with Access Bank.
It's time to spread your wings and fly. Reach for the sky.
Even if the bank too far, na to go to the nearest Access Closer agent. No carry last with your money o.
Get up right now, right now.
Money wey you deposit for Access Bank na money wey go make your mind rest well well. Don't let the money spoil for your hand o. 10 million naira today fit be 0 naira tomorrow. Oya o, Musa, Shade, Onyinye, carry your money go Access Bank or Access Closer agent wey near you. Access, more than banking.
My people, my name na Emeka, Mekus Kamat. Let me get all this motor. I don't learn my lesson. Somebody come buy motor for my hand, carry big money, come give me. Now when we get bust, now my eye open. I don't know say that 419 be. Now when EFCC babam, now they come bab me too. Now he make me they warn you. All of them when they do business like me, where they carry big money. Well, I go sometimes I go carry transfer, carry bring back. Yeah, make una shine in my eye because the special control.